Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of FNAF Hot Takes, where I take your hot takes about FNAF and I judge them. I tweeted last night asking you for your controversial FNAF opinions, takes, and theories and questions, and I'm gonna read them right now. Here we go. Our first FNAF hot take. Daco says Toy Chica is William Afton, and I think that's a really interesting thing to point out. And I think another further question that we could ask is, have you ever been to or seen When Where I Are? The thing that FNAF 4 should have been the end of the series. I know people hate on Dream Theory now, but at the time it genuinely made so much sense with everything we knew. I'm not lying when I say I probably got 100 people saying this exact thing, but about different FNAF games. FNAF should have ended at this game. FNAF should have ended at this game. And I think I partially agree. I think if I had to choose a game to end the series on, it probably would have been FNAF 4. Capitalism ruined FNAF's modern lore. You said it, I didn't. Everything pre-Help Wanted is probably not as canon as we think anymore. I think this is a really interesting thing to point out with FNAF VR saying that the games are games inside of the game and like they were made by a developer in the FNAF universe, and it just kind of made everything confusing, but I think all of the games are canon in their own little way. I think the core FNAF games still have that main story. I don't think FNAF VR or Security Breach is kind of taking that away from them. I think FNAF is complicated. The story has tried to go in so many different directions with different twists and turns, so it's hard to say what is canon and what's not, but I just assume with the games mostly everything is canon. The absurd glitches honestly carry Security Breach. I wouldn't enjoy it nearly as much if Glamrock Freddy never teleported to the 6th dimension and back in the span of an elevator trip. I don't think the glitches carried Security Breach. I think the thing that carried Security Breach is that it was the first FNAF game in a long time, and it was a new, way different look on the franchise and way different way of making a FNAF game, and I think people were just interested for nostalgia, for the lore, and I think that's what carried Security Breach. But I think the thing that has given the game legs a little bit has been the glitches. I think without that speedrunning community and all those new people who were introduced to the game because of all the glitches, the game wouldn't have been as popular, honestly. Cloak says Frebby. The only good incarnation of Springtrap / William Afton is the one from FNAF 3. Every incarnation after works to ruin the character. I kind of agree with you, but not on as intense of a scale. I think the design of Springtrap in FNAF 3 is peak Springtrap design. I think the story of Springtrap and William Afton in FNAF 3 is kind of the peak of what Springtrap is. I think after FNAF 3, Springtrap really did come back a little bit too much. I think we should have phased out of that. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, but not as like intense. I'm so tired of William Afton coming back every time at this point. He's a joke in a wheelchair. Give that man a rest. I agree. I think that Security Breach and modern FNAF in general is really disappointing and mediocre. I really missed the dark and sinister tone of the first game, when there was no ridiculously complex backstory and when the fear came from the uncanny behavior of the animatronics. I 100% understand this, and I actually agree. I think I do miss the dark, more sinister FNAF 1, FNAF 2 vibes. I think ever since FNAF 1, FNAF has just been getting more kid-friendly, and being more kid-friendly isn't always a bad thing. It helps you get a wider reach in terms of audience. It helps you sell more things. But in general, I do agree. I kind of miss the dark and sinister vibe of the original FNAF game. And I hope in the new DLC for Security Breach, we get a little more horror, a little more dark. It looks like it's gonna get a little more dark, but we'll have to wait and see. Baby has always been a better, more interesting villain for the series than William Afton. I don't know about this one. I think because of Sister Location, we just got to see a lot more of Baby, and we got to live that story out in the game, and we haven't really been able to do that with William Afton. We've only kind of seen him from the sidelines do these things rather than him do these things right in front of us in the game. I don't know if that made any sense, but it made sense to me. Security Breach permanently harmed the franchise. I don't think Security Breach permanently harmed anything. I think if anything, it brought a bunch of new fans into the fandom for good and bad reasons, like the glitches and, you know, the fact that it's a fun game. But no, I wouldn't say Security Breach permanently harmed the franchise. Security Breach was definitely rewritten in one of the delays. FNAF is really only fun to play with a group of friends. I kind of agree. Now that I think about it, I've spent the majority of my time playing Security Breach with chat on live stream. And one of the major things that got me hooked into the series was watching my friends get jump scared right next to me and playing FNAF 2 together. So I do agree, it's more fun to play with friends. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 has the best gameplay loop among the original 4 games, and I personally like it a lot more than Pizzeria Simulator's repair work section. I think it balances all the major FNAF mechanics perfectly. I completely disagree. I think FNAF 3 is the most boring game for me, but I respect your opinion. And I do agree about the Pizzeria Simulator thing. I do think FNAF 3's gameplay is better than FNAF 6's. Not the Pizzeria Simulator part, but the office part. But yeah, the story is way too convoluted and sucks now. I actually do think FNAF needs a soft reboot. I think there's just too much going on. I think we've rammed Afton's storyline into the ground, and I would love to just see a copycat killer who loved William Afton and looked up to him for some reason and decided to just go do what he was doing, and then we get like new characters, or you could do the same characters. It's another sister location or something like that, but we need a little soft reboot, a fresh, clean slate for FNAF, and I hope Steelwool does that with this DLC. I hope the DLC is the end of the Afton era. Having a character that's supposed to be annoying does not mean it's a bad character. People like to hate on this guy because he served his purpose. Balloon Boy has a great design, but hating a small, annoying child character is just cool because all the 2015 YouTubers said he is bad. No, Balloon Boy's just annoying. And also, Balloon Boy is the one with the least amount of story and lore in the franchise. People still do not know where the heck Balloon Boy came from, what he does. Is he haunted? We don't know. So yeah, Balloon Boy's annoying in-game and also outside of game because we have no idea why, where, when he is or came from. I don't really care what direction the franchise goes. I'm simply here for the ride and to know everything I can know. And I think that's kind of a good attitude to have. It is kind of a carefree attitude, but you know, with FNAF right now, I am just appreciating everything that we do get because the series means a lot to me. A lot of people don't want to see it die, so I'm glad someone is doing something with the franchise. So I do agree with you. I appreciate everything that we do get. Okay, MatPat. I hate Glamrock Chica to the core of my body. The future of FNAF has a lot more speedrunning, and I kind of agree. I think with Steelwool and what they're doing with the series with more free roam games, it is actually possible to speedrun those games. I hope the games aren't as glitchy as Security Breach, but yes, I agree. The books ruined FNAF. They made everything so stupid. I don't think the books ruined FNAF. I think what this series needs is a proper website, a proper guiding voice in the community that can tell us what the heck is canon and what the heck is not canon. I hate FNAF VR simply because it was the start of FNAF's descent into ultra sci-fi. Glitchtrap being William Afton, scanning circuit boards for animatronic memories, Jeremy being possessed by a virus. It also set up plot lines for Vanny that didn't go anywhere in Security Breach. I personally love FNAF VR because I think the series already took an ultra sci-fi turn in Sister Location. I think Scott even said that in the Docker interview, that Sister Location was the sci-fi turn for FNAF. So I was already kind of accepting of it. I didn't like the sci-fi turn, but I already accepted it. I really liked FNAF VR though, but I do agree that Vanny went nowhere, but hopefully she goes somewhere in the DLC. FNAF Security Breach is fun, but not scary. Agree. All Fazbear Fright stories are canon to the games. All of them? MatPat is likely right about all his theories about Security Breach, and yet people don't want to believe him. Well, people can believe whatever they want, but I do think MatPat has been right about a lot of his theories about Security Breach. Obviously not all of them, but I think a lot of them he has actually been right, including the ones that he put out before the game came out. I do think MatPat gets way too much hate when his theories come out. They are just theories, people. They are not facts. I understand that people may look at MatPat and think, oh, this is fact now because I don't really pay attention to anything else except what MatPat says. But still, he says it's a game theory at the beginning and end of the video, and it's called The Game Theorist, and it's like, I think everyone will learn to appreciate Security Breach after a while. I agree with that. I do have a lot of problems with Security Breach, with the story, with the gameplay, but I do really appreciate Security Breach, and it really holds a special place in my heart because getting our first free roam FNAF game was such a wild experience and such a treat, and I think Steelwool did really do a good job with it. I'm just glad Steelwool is keeping FNAF alive, and I do look forward to everything they have coming out in the future because they can only get better from here. And we'll end it off with I Just Farted. Well, thank you so much for watching the first ever episode and maybe the last ever episode of FNAF Hot Takes. If this does well, I'll make another. If it doesn't, see you never. Bye. Bye. Bye.